Hi, and welcome to That Does Not Belong to Me. It's your host, Jamie, and we are here for episode 41 with my dear friend, Ashley. Hi, Ashley, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good. I'm so thrilled you're here, that you said yes to doing this with me. I was going to make it a solo episode, and I'll explain why, because what the topic is, I could have done on my own, but it makes it so much better to do it with you. So thank you for saying yes. And you're already giving me so much of your time in so many ways, and I just appreciate you so much. We might cry this episode. I don't know. We'll see. It's already
For
happening. It's
sure.
already happening.
For sure crying.
So Ashley and I met, and I actually will say right away that Ashley is a projector, and I'm so thrilled to have a projector on the episode, especially because she is a very aligned projector in many ways, and it just totally makes sense. So we'll talk more about that too. But Ashley and I met this past summer at my family's business, which is the marina in Knowlton, and we met before that. And I just will say that when I met you as my waitress at Elena in Montreal, which is where Duncan and I used to go on date nights for Valentine's Day or anniversary, and I felt like we were friends to the point that, or like, I guess I wanted to be your friend then, because then fast forward years later, when I actually meet you, when our mutual friend introduces you to me, I'm like, oh no, we're already friends. Like it's already a thing. So that was how it started for me. For you, it might be a different story, but I'm so happy that we got introduced.
I am too really happy. And it's funny the when we met, I remember telling you like, "Oh yeah, I've moved to the township. I find it hard. I don't have many friends." And you looked at me, deadpan in the eyes, and you're like, "Oh, we're friends. I'll be your friend." And I remember being so taken aback by such honesty and such like, "No, no, no, like it's fine. We're friends. You've got me." And there was comfort in that, and it completely changed my life.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, meeting you changed a lot of the course of my life in the last couple of months, and
Oh.
I'm so glad. And so, yeah,
Oh
this
my
is
God, amazing. Well, since then, we Instagram friended each other. I think that's the way that friendships do tend to start. And I just want to say too, like, I want to normalize making friends as grown-ups. Like, I just met another friend for a coffee last week who we were just chatting on Instagram, and she vulnerably shared a story of like fertility that she's going through. And I was like, you want to meet for coffee? And like, I don't need more friends. Like it's not about that, you know? And like some people might say like I don't need more friends. Like let's just like cut that off. I don't even have time for the friends I have often get said, you know? And that's totally something to like, to boundary yourself around. But there I don't know. I don't think we should limit ourselves or stop ourselves from like bringing in these new, like you
Mm,
said, like well we said before recording, but serendipitous like people that come in our lives and for good reason, you know, especially if you get that little nudge. So very happy
mm-hmm.
about that. And then since then, we started doing yoga together. She started coming to my
Yep.
studio. We did used to drink wine together, and now we're still friends, even though I don't really drink anymore.
I still drink. I drink enough for the both of
That's
us.
perfect. And then the most recent activity we could call it we're doing together is fundraising. So I'll just dive right into that. We're going to be a little all over the place. Lots we want to talk about today, but I said yes to doing this huge fundraiser for the LLSC, which is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada. And I had previously done the fundraiser for, it was Light the Night. They have two big fundraising events. So Light the Night is in October. I managed to raise $6,000 just from people like sharing it. And it was, I
Wow.
really did not try that hard, I have to say. And it was just because I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was just something like kind of extra to do, fun to do, and like for a cause that is now becoming nearer and dearer to my heart. I've been diagnosed with follicular lymphoma. You know, my dad 2 months later, same thing. So it feels really, really good to be doing this. But this one, the one where I'm a candidate for Visionary of the Year. So this
You're
is a
gonna
con.
win Visionary of
It's
the
I am
Year.
going. When I look at the definition, I don't have it in front of me of visionary. It's something about like, looking ahead to the like wonder and possibilities or something like that. And I was like, shit, yes, like that is me. I'm already a visionary, so that's fine, like check. But now looking back at past winners who have raised something like $160,000 or somewhere around that mark, I'm like, oh, that's what it takes to be a visionary. Okay, so let's revisit like how to do that kind of thing. But honestly, and I know you don't want to take full credit, but I wouldn't be where I am without you in this process. We haven't even started officially during the fundraising period because I have 10 weeks between March. It is currently currently March 4th. This is coming out March 15th, and I have 10 weeks between March 23rd. Write these dates down, everyone. March 23rd and June 1st to raise a bunch of money. My soft goal, $25,000, easy peasy. My stretchy goal, 50, but I think we can do more. You?
Yeah, for sure. I have no doubt in my mind that we're gonna hit the $50,000 mark, not with ease, because I don't think things come easily. You have to put the work into it, but I think collectively the efforts that we have put in just in the last couple of weeks of like planning and organizing are going to be so fruitful, and the amount of support that we've gotten just in the planning preliminary stages
Yeah.
has completely blown me away. So there's no doubt in my mind that we'll hit the 50,000, and if we get more, amazing. So you can win that award. I'm here for it.
Wonder if it's a trophy, like an Emmy award or something. I don't know.
There better be a trophy.
I think my photo gets put in, like, I think it was Forbes magazine or McLean or something, and the Gazette, perhaps the Montreal Gazette.
Ooh, she fancy.
So lots to look forward to. No, but I mean, I keep coming back to like why did I say yes to this? Why am I doing this? Because it is a lot of work, and you've like, we'll talk more about why you said yes to doing it or helping me out. But part of it is that I'm a community builder. Like that's something that I see myself as, and I want to support as many small businesses, female entrepreneurs, that sort of thing as I can. And now it's almost like I get to be on the receiving end of that, where I'm now like out of my comfort zone a little bit more, reaching out to people and asking for their support. But what I hope to, like, partially, I hope that this just brings like liveliness to our community out in this small town of Knowlton, outside of Montreal. I hope it brings people from the city out here to see how wonderful it is, what a beautiful place. And, we don't have many businesses, restaurants, stores, bars, but we've got some. And I really want to, let this be something that people can look forward to, even if it's people just obviously from this community too. Like fun events, like let's make cancer fun, like... Is that our new slogan? No, probably not. But we've bounced around with ideas like that.
Let's make beating cancer fun.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. That's the better way to put it. And then the other thing is you think about these big causes, and part of me was resistant because where does the money go and everything? And my dad actually got me to ask to inquire of like the efficiency of it, because some causes, some foundations or, benefits, you don't know where the money's going, right? It's not necessarily going all to research and stuff. And I can't remember the numbers, but the LLSC was really good. And even now, like based on my experiences with them, outside of this fundraising stuff, is I've had conversations with this woman, Megan, who works for them. I had a couple conversations with her where she's trying to match me with a volunteer who has been through what I've been through or similar enough that we can talk and she can share her stories and advice. And that to me is bigger than like so much, it's just so, it's been so valuable. So if I can do something for this amazing organization, and then if I can help, like research or, people just be more educated or supported, that's a huge thing that they do too. And this advocacy around it as well. Then like, how can I not, if I have the capacity to do it, it just feels so right. And we just like, we're going to make it fun. We've had fun times planning. It's, a lot of back and forth. And I know it feels heavy on certain days, but why did you say yes to doing this for me or with me or for the cause? It's not for me really, but kind of.
Well, it is for you, but it is for a larger cause. My mom and dad were both diagnosed with cancer when I was 18 or 19, and my mom passed away when I was maybe 20, like 19-ish, 20, and she put up a really good fight. And my dad is luckily still with us. My godmother was recently diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma late last year. And my partner's aunt, Lise, who I love dearly, was also diagnosed with leukemia. So cancer has been a big player in my life and has affected a lot of people around me who I love and admire. So when the cause kind of happened, when this opportunity came knocking, it kind of felt like the right thing to do. I didn't even think about it, actually. I just imposed myself on you.
So glad.
Jamie, you're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do a fundraiser. I was like, great. So I've spoken to about 30 people. We've got donations lined up.
Here's the
Where are we
spreadsheet.
doing it? Lots of spreadsheets, lots of organizations. But yeah, I think like when I was younger, at like 14 or 15 years old, my mom had signed me up to do what was formerly known as the Weekend to End Breast Cancer, benefiting the Jewish General Hospital. And you had to be like 16 or 17 to do it. You had to raise $2,000. You had to walk 60 kilometers over a 2-day span. And my mom and I went to an orientation, and she was like, do you want to do this thing with me? And we were thick as thieves. So obviously I said yes. And when she went to go sign me up, she was like, oh, you have to be, an age that you're not. And this super honest woman fudged the numbers and lied about my age.
Oh,
So we could
amazing.
do this fundraiser together. And we did it for about 5 years. And every year, the first year was just she and I. And then the next year we had more people. And the next year we had more people. And she was also a yoga teacher. So bring that into the
Oh,
serendipity of it all.
oh,
So like fundraising and bringing people together for a bigger cause, it's just, I guess it's something I realized that I'm good at and I miss doing. So it
yeah.
just all felt like perfect timing, and the universe brought all these elements together for it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
perfect. And you're really good at asking people for money.
Well, it's not
We haven't
for
even gotten
me.
started.
We haven't gotten started, and it's not for me. It's for
Hmm.
a bigger cause, and it affects a lot more people. And I think especially like blood cancers, it's not it's not just one group of people. It's children, and it's grown-ups, and if we can just help like
Yeah,
one tiny molecule, um, then all of this is worth it. You know.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, like, this is a good lesson in asking for things, is just asking. And I was talking to Duncan about it last night, and not even around the fundraising, but I kind of was saying to him, like that he gets what he wants, like, and that sounds like a bad thing, and it's not at all. It's just
No.
that, and sometimes I'm in awe of him, and sometimes I'm like, geez, the nerve of him, like, to just ask for something. I'll just give an example. We were in the old port one day years ago, and I was teaching at a yoga class at Yoga Via Montréal, and he was wandering around, and then we met up after, and he was kind of looking for boat captain jobs at the time, and there was the saute mouton boat. Do you know that one?
Hmm.
And it goes in the
Yeah.
rapid. Have you been on it?
No.
It's really fun. You get soaking wet, and then sometimes there's like kids crying behind you because it's a very like actually scary experience, but it's super fun. But anyways, he goes down and he's like asking to talk to the captain, and he goes like right when people are loading onto the boat, like really not a good timing. And then I don't know, he ends up, I guess, asking someone if we can go on the boat. Like he explains he's a boat captain and blah blah blah. And next thing you know, he's like waving me down, like, "Come on, get the life jacket on, we're going." And so we just got these like free passes onto the boat. And things like that, where I'm like, it always just
Yeah.
kind of works out in your favor. But it's because he asks, and it's because he
Yeah.
just like, there's no shame, there's no, and part of me is like, oh, it's a man thing, and I feel like I should be more like that. But I don't
And I
know.
also, not to say it's just a man thing, but to quote my mom in fundraising efforts is, and in all things of life, is there's no harm in asking.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that can happen? I love playing this game. Sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's for the worse, but what's the worst thing
You
that
go
can
to dark
happen?
places.
Yeah. We try not to go there too often, but for
Yeah.
fundraising, it's, can you help me help
Yeah.
this larger cause? And worst case, no, I'm
No.
sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
And businesses get asked all the time. We know that as well as like people that have worked
Hmm.
for businesses. I'm a business owner, we get asked all the time. So you have to have your limits as well. So it's totally
Yeah.
understandable when people are saying no. But like I reached out to this musician, Shane Murphy, and I was like, hey, we're doing this thing. Any chance you want to play on a show at the Boot, like our local kind of venue? And he just wrote back, yes. Like,
Yeah.
yes. And that sort
Yeah.
of thing. I'm like, I get shivery just because I'm like, people want to help. They want to do good and for good people, for good causes. And you've reached out to people that you don't even necessarily know, or this
Yeah.
potter that's in Sutton who has like
I
40,000 followers. Her stuff is beautiful and it's hard to get a piece of it. And Ashley asked and she said, yes, like I've been wanting
oh,
to do something like, you know, so we got
I'm
to ask you guys.
obsessed with her work.
I'll
um,
try to remember to link it in the show notes because her stuff is beautiful.
yeah, La Fille des Oignons, and she makes the
Mm.
most. It's very rare that I'll see people and other artists work and like my breath is taken away, and her
Oh,
work is so beautiful. And yeah, just asking for the fundraiser is like, it's fun to be able to participate in something. It's fun to say that I'm donating my time and my products towards a cause
mm.
that are going to bring the community together, and we're all there for good, and we're there to have a good time. Anyway, she said yes, and I'm beyond
Yeah.
excited. And I was like, ooh, maybe I can bid on this because I've really wanted to get my hands on her work.
That's perfect. Yeah, I feel like I've already said this to you, but I'm like, I am gonna cry so much. Like I'm already thinking about like, just saying thank you at certain events. And we have a couple of fundraising auction. Actually, can I just say this? This friend of mine, Maureen Woods, who's like 65-year-old, like the most beautiful, vibrant. Like you look at her and you're like, let me get older. Like let's just fucking do this, right?
Yeah.
That kind of woman. She signed up for the Fierce and Feminine dance class that I was taking with Sarah. Like she did it. And for the show, she was in full like leather fringe, and it was a leather fringe jacket and
Mm.
like leather fringe booty shorts. It was incredible. And her husband was like, "Can you please put this on immediately as soon as it got in the mail?" It was so cute. But she commented on one of my posts about one of the fundraisers, and she capitalized the word "fun" or the part "fun." Have you noticed that yet? Like I didn't really, and I was like, "We got to use that." Like maybe you've already
Yeah.
got out of that, but I'm like, it is a fun raiser, right?
The silent B, the
Yeah.
fundraiser.
It's just a fundraiser. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we're making it as fun as possible. We've got a couple of auctions coming up. So this is where if you want to grab your pen, I'll just get this over with and then we can move on. But March 25th in Knowlton, somewhere, we're not sure where yet, a silent auction and cocktail party, and it's gonna be so fun.
It's going to be so fun. I cannot wait.
So that one will be like you don't need a ticket to come, you could just come. I'm trying to organize too that a hotel in town, if that's where maybe we're holding it even, but that maybe there could be a discount on rooms so people can come from Montreal, because you're going to want to come if you're living in Montreal right now, because we have so many great donations from businesses in the city. Like I just got this $150 for this butcher I need to send you that's in the city. So like, kind of random, but like amazing. This butcher, I've got personal training, there's restaurants, and like you've gone out of your way to get so many more. But yeah.
I'm looking at the Excel sheet right now out of the corner of my eye going like, yeah, we've got a lot. We've got really cool stuff. And it's like a variety of stuff from like jewelry to art to fun experiences to home goods and apparel and like,
Hmm.
yeah, just like brands that I love, big and small, has just been
Yeah.
anyway. So that's
Yeah,
that's on the
like North
25th.
Face. Yeah, that's on the
Yeah.
25th. And even the Yasmin who I interviewed on this podcast who owns Boutique Luster, she's the one that made my wedding dress. And she's donating a jumpsuit that I wear all the time. I have two of them now. So there's just gonna be so many great things. And then we have another auction, a dinner and auction on April 22nd. That one will be ticketed because you're going to get a
Mhm.
beautiful meal out of it. Patrick from Le Sapin has kindly offered to host us there. He's an amazing chef. So April
Mm.
22nd, stay tuned for tickets. And then before that, even April 7th, which is Easter weekend. So what a great weekend to make your way out to Knowlton, right? And if you
Yeah.
need a place to stay, hit me up. I've got an Airstream. Should I
I
offer
got
that?
a spare bedroom. If we're friends, you can stay with me.
Also, all the auction items will be out of the spare bedroom by then, most of them, because right now
They
that's what's
will, yeah.
happening, right?
Yeah, my spare bedroom's an auction house at the moment.
So that
Um,
one is the show at the Boot with Shane Murphy. So that is going to be a super fun night, where you can come and it like just have, it's just for fun, but you can also make a donation and part of the ticket proceeds will be going to the cause. So yeah, fun, fun, fun,
yeah,
all of it.
and yeah, the Thirsty Boot has been so kind with
Yeah,
agreeing to do this, and Shane as well. And we'll have fun raffle items that,
yeah.
you can take. So, and even if you're from Montreal, what a great idea to come down, because some of the raffle items will be gift certificates to restaurants in
Yeah.
Montreal. So
Hmm.
not naming any names, we want to keep it exciting and surprising, but
Yeah. And
definitely worth coming down.
And if you don't live like around the area and can't make it, because most all of these events are in person, you'll be able to make donation through the website. I'll have my own website and link and everything. So if you want to just like cash money donation, if you work, this is a big one, but if you work for a company that potentially has funds for this sort of thing, that is huge for us. So reach
Yeah.
out if you do and you know that there's access to that sort of thing, because that can make such a big difference in this sort of fundraising. These events are great and all, but it's a lot of manpower, time, and energy for like, not smaller amounts, but the profits aren't always as grandiose as a company that's like, here's 10 grand.
Yeah,
So
we're here. We just want to make it rain, please.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I was going to say, I think what we should try to do closer to, if we have the energy, is share some of the items. Like I want to share some of them on social
Oh
media,
yeah.
just to say like, here's a little teaser. And then if you don't live around here and you happen to see them on like my Instagram or something like that, or Ashley's, reach out to us or to someone else from around here and see if they can kind of be your auction hand, or they can put in bids for you or something like that, or buy you raffle
Absolutely.
tickets. So we might not be able to on that night, but we can probably find someone who can do that for you. So just trying to make it accessible.
We've got a few volunteers in the pipeline. Maybe we can have
Yeah.
une personne attitrée. How do you say it?
Yeah. Like I don't know, your assistant, your auction assistant? No.
We can get an auction assistant. Let's get them a clipboard. But
Yes.
a person dedicated to
Yes,
kind
that's
of
right. For
filling in.
bidding for
That's the word I
others.
was looking for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's going to be so many cool things. People just have to find a way to participate and
Yeah.
show up. It'll be really
Yeah.
fun.
Amazing. Yeah. Can I just ask, because usually, so that's great. I'm glad we talked about that. That
That was
was
our
kind of
meeting. That was
the
our
point.
daily meeting.
Yeah, we joke that we're just going to record one of our meetings and that's the podcast episode. So that's pretty much it. We're all up to date. But normally when I interview people, I ask them a bit about their story. And you shared a little bit very kindly, because it's obviously it's a bit vulnerable. And you said like you haven't shared it necessarily with too many people. Um, but what else is your story? Like, as in, where did you come from? And I asked Ashley before jumping on, are you an entrepreneur? And she was like, no. And I'd love you to explain a bit what your answer was. And I said, are you a freelancer? And I in my head, sometimes freelancers would be considered entrepreneurs, but not necessarily, right? Because you're working for other people once you get like a gig or something. So if you don't mind just
Yeah.
elaborating.
Yeah. Well, it should be said, I don't like talking about myself very much. So this is out of my
Perfect.
comfort zone.
Yay.
um, I come from Montreal. I was born and raised and came to the townships very recently, going on 2 years, and used to work in restaurants for most of my life, really, my adult life. I was working in restaurants and doing design stuff and studied design and art and went away to different countries and came back and kind of always found a way back into hospitality and connecting with people. I worked in some agencies and creative collectives and always found my way back to trying to find a way to be with people and have shared experiences. And so the hospitality industry definitely allowed that space for me
You
to
were
do
such a
that.
good waitress.
Oh,
I know
thank
you're
you.
like more than that. It was more than that, as an experience. So
I just love taking care of people. I
you
realized
do
that that's what I
clearly.
love about working in hospitality. And then when COVID hit, it kind of changed a lot for my life because I couldn't really take care of people in the same way. And I didn't want to go back to a restaurant where I would stand behind a counter and like not be able to like reach over and touch someone's hand and ask how their day was going and like really
Yeah.
have that connection. So I guess fell back onto my degree, question mark. And like through Instagram, a client from when I was working in the restaurant industry was like, do I know any graphic designers? And I like put my hand up and I was like, well, I'm a graphic designer. And we had known each other through the art world, and she had bought like a bit of my work or had participated in something and owned some of my artwork. And yeah, and so I've been kind of working with her and her company ever since. And then, yeah, I guess to answer your first question or like comment of do
Hmm.
I think I'm an entrepreneur, the answer was immediately no,
Hmm.
because I don't chase work. And I don't mean it to sound like pretentious or anything, but things have always just found their way to me when I
That's
needed
perfect.
them. And I've never wasted too much time like going out and hunting for work. And it's always been through human connection and circumstance that like I've had these projects come to me, and I've always been really lucky and I get to live a really beautiful life because of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm not an entrepreneur because I don't have that go getter, go, go, go energy. Like I'm always like, oh yeah, oh, did you need a hand with that? Okay, cool. Let me help you. And it's very passive.
Yeah, that's
And I've,
okay. Can I pause just for a second? Sorry, just
yeah,
to bring in human design because there's a couple elements. One being your strategy. So, first of all, projectors don't have access to that internal sacral, vital life force, go, go, go energy, as I call it. Like it just doesn't exist inside of you. So, it doesn't mean you can't plug into others. Like if we're working alongside each other, there's that energy and momentum. And then maybe as soon as we part ways, you're like, oh, right? Like, and I know you can relate to that. And then also your strategy is wait for the invitation. So like that's
mm,
perfect, you know, and not, I mean, I was going to say not everyone has the luxury of doing that, but it's not even the case. It's more the either the trust or the almost the courage to do that because it's scary and we often
mm,
think we need to force or we need to go out of our way or we need to push to make shit happen. And human design really is like against that almost, right? It's really about moving through life with ease. So that's why I was saying you're so aligned with, you know, your projectorness in many ways and like going to bed early and saying no, or I'll think about it. Like we're supposed to go to the boot tonight. And you're like, I may be going, but probably not. And you're just like, you know, and everyone's going to respect that. Everyone who cares about you enough. And like, I love that we've reached the point where for me anyways, my friendships are so understanding of canceling or just like fluctuating in terms of decisions around
yeah.
activities.
Well, I knew nothing about human design before you and I met. And I'm so happy that you took the time to go over my chart, I guess, with me. I don't know what
Yeah,
words are. So,
that's what it is.
um,
Yes.
and for trying to explain to Larry what human design is. Larry's my partner, my dear partner, who doesn't believe in anything that's a little woo woo.
Yeah.
Um, astrology is not his thing. He's a Pisces. And um, but yeah, like I feel like when we sat down and you went over it with me, everything became more clear.
Mm,
Like being tired and being like, oh my God, I can't do this right now. Or tired's a big one for me.
mm.
But I don't know, everything just became more clear, and like that wanting the invitation and acknowledgement and the small things that I have retained from my human design. I don't know, everything just became
Yeah.
more clear and allowed me to really flow with a lot more ease and not
Good.
force things when they don't feel right.
Yeah, yeah. That's a huge one. And even like your energy is really quality over quantity, right? So like you
Mm,
can bang things out, you can get shit done in a much shorter time than someone else. And I think like as a societal perspective, it just seems like, well, we got to work those long days. Like that's how you got to make the money, you know? And it's like that hopefully is being revisited, but like that's not the case for projectors or manifestors or
mm-hmm.
reflectors. And what was the other thing I was going to say that was interesting about? Okay, so I just want to point out because you actually have a defined root center, which means you have the drive and ambition because you kind of said like you don't, but this is what I'm curious your thoughts on. So you technically have that inside of you, but when I look at you in this fundraising event, like it's there, like the drive
Yeah.
is there, right? So it just has to either be for the right thing or but there's other elements that come into play because then above that center is the sacral, which you don't technically have that, like, again, just like actual energy to do the work. You're more the
Mm.
leader, right? You're more the one that's meant to just be like, you do this, you do that. I remember what I was going to say. I'll bring that back after. But, and then the other third center, I always kind of pair these three together is the heart, which is open for you. And open meaning you don't have this energy and it's willpower. So you
Mm.
might have the drive and ambition, but you don't technically have the actual like motor energy or the will like to actually do the thing. So it kind
Yeah.
of makes sense, you know, and like, you know, certain things it might just come more naturally, or again, you're like plugging into others, and then others, it's like damn, I really want to do that, but I don't like, for some reason I can't stick to that habit, or, I want to, I don't know what, if you have like experience, I always think of like daily routines or habits we try to put in place. And then all of a sudden you're like, why can't I do it? Like, why,
Mm,
and it's like, sometimes the will's not there. So we have to set ourselves up with like accountability buddies or just like plugging into others. So curious your
mm.
thoughts.
I have no thoughts.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to analyze my entire life in a 30-second split to have an answer. I don't have one.
You don't have one, but does it make sense? Like,
It all makes a lot of sense. I think while you're speaking, my brain is processing what you're saying and analyzing life. And anyway,
it's
it's
too
all
many
just too
things.
much. It's
That's
just too
fine.
much.
Don't worry. What I was going to say before, and you kind of brought it up, is as a projector too, one of the things for them is they really want to be seen. They really want to be
Mm,
recognized. And you're not self-theme. That means when you're out of alignment, or maybe when you didn't, generally it's when you didn't follow your strategy or authority, is bitterness. So your
mm,
authority is that wait for the, or sorry, yeah, your strategy is wait for the invitation. So maybe if you've
mhm,
pushed your advice on someone, or you've pushed yourself and they don't want it, then first of all, you like don't feel seen, you don't feel recognized, and then that bitterness creeps up, right? But maybe like next time, try following, that wait for the invitation piece, which I'll just point in now, or put in now, that it's not ever supposed to limit you. So if there's something you want, don't be like, well, I didn't get the invite, so I can't have it. It's like, invite yourself. Like if there's something you want bad
mhm,
enough. Um, and then your strategy, did I say that one? Yeah, sorry. Your strategy is wait for the invitation. Your authority, yours is splenic. So that one, and it's a little more rare. There's usually like 50% are emotional authorities, then there's sacral, and the spleen is really intuitive. So it's really this like when someone's asking you something, or, just like really going with that first instinct, just like leaping in and then figuring it out later, almost like, I guess, kind of like when I'm just using the fundraising as an example, right? But where
yeah.
you're just like, doesn't need to make sense, just gonna do it, and then after you'll
Yeah.
see. But like, generally those are the things that end up being the right the right things, the right direction.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. I really feel like ever since I've discovered this like human design aspect, everything just becomes more clear. But the intuition part of it, it couldn't be more spot on with this. I don't know why I felt
Yeah.
like I needed to help. I don't know why. I mean, now I know why. But when I said I wanted to help, and when I started doing this, it was just like, well, I have to. Like,
Mm,
there's no other reason than I absolutely have to do this, and I want
mm-hmm.
to do this. And I think the have to and want to are two very different things. But in this particular fundraising case, is very like aligned
Yeah,
and headed towards in the same direction.
that's perfect.
Um, and we could talk about how bitter I am, but that's going to be a whole other podcast.
And then I'll just say too, with this back to being like seen and recognized piece as a projector, just for other projectors out there too, is like it starts with seeing yourself first. That's the catch, kind of, right? Like it can be all great and well to be like, I have these amazing things to give you. I have this amazing advice to give you. I have these amazing skills I can offer you. But if you, and like I'm saying in this example, like amazing, but if you don't truly believe in like yourself or what you have to offer, it's not going to work. Like even if you are invited, so it really just has to start with you being like I see me. I don't know. That sounds a
Yeah.
bit woo too, but like however that can feel for you.
No, I don't think it sounds who. I think that's like the most like basic thing is like if you see yourself for who you are and you can honor and cherish it and honor and cherish who you are essentially, then
Mm,
like then you'll travel through life with so much more ease because you're not forcing anything in a wrong direction.
yeah.
You're just being the most authentic version of yourself.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I just taught a yoga class this morning, and this has nothing to do with being a projector, but just in terms of confidence more so, and like belief in self. But after class, I was able to like really say to myself, and even during class actually, that I'm a really good yoga teacher. And like, you know, other people will say it, and like I'm sure everyone gets these like compliments for certain things that they're doing and stuff. And it almost all doesn't matter. Like it does matter. It obviously is nice to hear compliments, but find those things that you can say about yourself, or just spend time, with your skills, or your gifts,
Mhm.
really is what it is, and like really believe in your shit. And for me, it's come so much, and it all comes down to, like you've kind of just said, like you got to be yourself. And when I was teaching in
Mhm.
different studios in Montreal, I didn't feel like I could fully, and I still am nervous before every class. I still like
Mm.
feel this sense of relief when I'm done teaching a class. And I think I
Really?
always will. Yeah. And it's more that I want to do a good job, right? Like I want to do a good job at
Yeah.
my job, and I have all these people looking at me, and I want to make them proud, and I want them to enjoy themselves, and we put this pressure on ourselves. So it almost has to start there. Like I think it's okay to be a little
Mhm.
bit like almost on edge, that it makes you like, try to do your best and not just show up like you don't give a shit. But then
Yeah.
you really have to just like trust, that like you're so good at what you do. And even if you make mistakes, like, and I make mistakes and people laugh, or it's like we have fun together. It's not.
Mhm.
So, anyways,
I
that was
feel
a
this
bit of a
I
tangent.
feel the same way about my work and what I do. So I work as we mentioned, a freelance graphic
Yeah.
designer and art director. And anytime I get a new job, whether it's with a new client or a returning client, I always get nervous. I always want to do my best. I always want them to feel like they've got the absolute best version of me working on their team. So it's
Hmm.
I can relate. You show up to yoga class, but I always have a great time in your class, by the way.
Thank you. You always give me some good chuckles. And on that note, too, your opposite of the bitterness when you're like kind of out of alignment, things aren't feeling good, is success for a projector. And
Mm,
so I feel like that one probably resonates with you. And it's kind of a good one to be reminded of for any projector and first of all, I always say, like, define what success is for you and what it feels like for you, like in your body,
mm,
or like how do you breathe when you get this sensation of like, fuck, that was good, or like, a project, or you ask someone for something that's like scary and then you get it, success, right? Or like a meal you
mm,
prepare that you're like, oh, I just have this urge for this whatever, and you just go for it, and it's like, wow, huge success.
mm. Yeah, it's like a heart feeling. Feels
Yeah. Yeah.
radiating energy,
Yeah.
heart, big
Care
smile, squinty
Bear.
eyes. Yeah.
Okay, I took a human design tangent, but I want to now pivot back to your actual story. So you
Oh.
then, after COVID or during COVID, you get offered, I don't, one contract or several contracts, and sort of step away from the restaurant industry a bit.
Yeah, and I haven't been back to the restaurant industry since 2020. So
Mm.
I've been working full time for myself. So yeah, entrepreneur. I'll say it very like under my breath.
Yeah, you are.
But yeah, I've been working for myself for the past 3 years and have like managed to get really cool clients and work on some really fun things and challenge myself and push what I think I can do, push that envelope a little bit farther each time. And when I'm not working freelance, I get to explore new things and try new things. I absolutely love. I'm a very curious person by nature, and so I love trying things I've never done before.
Mm.
Um, and that energy of like, oh, I hope I do well, even if I have no idea what I'm doing, comes up a lot for me. But I got to work this summer with some friends who have vineyards in Saint Armand, and got to like plant with them and prune and make sure that the little baby vines are doing okay. And so I don't know. Again, like it's that taking care of that I see is like a reoccurring theme in my life. So
Mm.
whether I'm taking care of vines or I'm taking care of people or I'm taking care of projects and aesthetics for projects.
Ugh. I
Yeah.
love
So
that. It's like redefining the word caregiver, or like that kind of job. And
yeah.
that's kind of fun to do too, especially as an entrepreneur,
Mm.
is to like zoom out at the bigger picture, and especially if you're kind of multifaceted in what you do. Like, and that's something I've been talking about recently, is like, as someone who co-owns a restaurant and co-owns a yoga studio and then has my own personal like yoga coaching business, when I zoom out and see like, what am I doing here? What am I here for? And it's really like to be of service is what it is. And then
Mm.
ultimately, and I don't put it the same way as you, but it's really to make someone's day better. Like, I think that's really when I think about like whether I'm serving them a burger or they're coming to my yoga class or we're having a coaching session, it's like I hope after their time spent with me, their day is even just a tiny bit better or a lot better. And maybe their life is better too. Like that's, when I can really
Yeah,
put it all in there. Yeah. So
absolutely.
yeah, it doesn't need to be from one thing that we do or, like I think, yeah, we can kind of zoom out and make it about something bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea that you said the word caregiver, and that's, it's crazy because when we think of caregiving, we think of someone who's maybe ill and who needs a little bit of help.
Yes.
But in like a more global, a more widespread, maybe a little more, put an asterisk at the end of caregiver, that really is
Yeah.
how I see and how I would like and how I navigate through life is
Yeah.
caring as much as possible for everyone and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Wonderful. You truly are a caregiver. That is for damn sure. So what adventures do you see on the horizon, Ashley? Like what is next for you? Or do you not see that far?
I can't see that far, Jamie.
Okay.
I can't see that
That's
far.
fine.
Um, I think, yeah, I don't know, Jamie. I can't see
Mm.
that far. My partner hates it because I'm like, he's like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I like this. This is great. I love this. Why would I want to change it?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I don't know. I like the direction that my life is taking. I like the adventures that I'm embarking on. And I try not to plan too far in advance.
Because who the hell
Probably,
knows?
yeah, because of the who knows. And I think like maybe because of past trauma of like you think
Mm-hmm.
something's gonna happen a particular way and everything changes so quickly,
Mm-hmm.
working on what belongs to me and what doesn't. Um but yeah, I don't know. I like to try to live as much as possible in the right now because
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not worry or think
Mm-hmm.
too far ahead.
So what or how, like you're a yogi, I don't know how much you practiced yoga, like if you went to a studio when you were living in Montreal or what, but how has the practice helped you, you know, now or in the past? Or sometimes I watch you, because I'm creepy,
Not
during
creepy at all.
Shavasana. And I know you've said you don't love Shavasana, right? Like, is that a hard moment for you to sit with your quiet or maybe
That
your
is
thoughts or what's your
that is yeah, that's an incredibly hard moment.
Mhm.
Shavasana. So as I'd mentioned, my mom was a yoga teacher pretty much my entire life, and she had a studio called Studio BE, and she practiced, and so I practiced a lot with her. And when I was younger, went to like silent meditation retreat, which is like not a very common thing, I suppose,
Can you
for like
share
a
the
15
one?
year old.
Can you share the one exercise, especially for those who are watching this on YouTube, because you can do the visual of it. But tell us about the one exercise you told me about that you had to do at this silent meditation or
um,
silent
so
retreat.
Yeah, so my mom had sent me to this silent meditation retreat. I was very excited to go. Like, let it be known that like I thought
It
it was the
wasn't
coolest
forced.
thing. It was not forced. I was there of my own choice. So one of the meditations was an hour-long meditation, and as you're sitting, you start with your hands by your side, and you're guided through bringing your arms up really slow, like slower than slow, and it takes you a half an hour to get your arms all the way up, and then you're guided to bring your arms all the way back down. Now I would show you in real time, but we don't have an hour. And the pain that you feel when your arms have to move up like micro centimeters, and how present you are in your body, you are not thinking of anything else but your
Wow.
dang arms. So that was a silent meditation that
Should we
I
do that
did
as
once.
as a fundraiser? Should we do
Yeah.
that? Like make
You
people
think
come join us to do it?
cancer is hard? Try raising your arm. Yeah, we can find a parallel, no problem.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'll work on it, not a problem. I'll get started on the content. So that's kind of my history. My history with yoga. When I was in Montreal, again, like it's funny that you were talking about habits, because I used to go a lot and then I would not go, and then I would practice a little bit and then I wouldn't go.
Mm,
Um, and I like to think that certain things in my life happen at the time that I need them for the time that I need them. And so when you and I met and you said I'm opening a yoga studio, I was like, huh, interesting. And like I wasn't really working at the time. I didn't have very many contracts when you had first opened. I was there like
Yeah.
almost every day if I could go. And I've seen like a personal shift in my outlook towards life. And now is that because I met you and the way that you see life has like influenced me to see things differently? Or is it the practice of yoga? Or is it being forced to lay still and not think of anything except for the cracks on your ceiling? It's a whole other story.
We'll never know.
We'll never know, but it plays a role in my life. It holds me accountable to myself, at least.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I know this is another like quick pivot, but I just think it's worth talking about. And I did some episodes over the summer where I talk a little bit more, depending who I was speaking to, but a bit more about the restaurant industry because it is a place that's near and dear to my heart too. And I don't, it seems a bit random, but we've had the marina. My dad's had it my whole life. He bought it in 1980, so I grew up in it. I don't think I'm meant to be a restaurateur, but I am. So I've found ways to make it like, my dad was talking recently again, we're both dealing with cancer and he's getting older and like, what are we doing here? And, I think he wants to always give me the out. He's almost always talking about it like he doesn't want to put the pressure on me to have to be there or, he's like, you've got the well now. And I'm like, yes, and this place allows me to fulfill certain other qualities. So I do not love, making food orders, and I do not love, dealing with any like things that break down, even though it's my dad who deals with that. And, there's a lot to it where I still feel like a little kid at the big kids table. And I think that's okay. But when I really like look at the other pieces, I'm like, I get to be a leader there. I get to be someone who mentors young adults in their first job and anyone at any age actually. And we get to create a team environment that like people look forward to coming there. Like that to me is it, So, and we're a hub for the community. Like we had it for sale a few years back and everyone was like, no, So there is have to be careful of like, is that pressure from outside of me? Does that belong to me? But anyways, I just kind of wanted to go back and see your thoughts on, because I think it doesn't get talked about as much anymore, but COVID was a bitch to the restaurant industry. And as you said, like, that was not the world that you wanted to be a part of. It changed everything. And just to give like, again, a shout out to any restaurants that either needed to close, like good, and that's not necessarily the dream either, but like that if you had to do what you had to do, and then even those who pushed through and survived as well. So just curious, like your thoughts or just anything you want to share on that.
Wow. Well, it should be said that I've mentioned him before, but my lovely partner Larry and I met while working in the restaurant industry at Elena. So you can fall in love in very intense environments, apparently. And he continued to work in the restaurant industry and opened a new restaurant called Gia, and that's in St. Henry.
When did he open?
Oh, heck. I should know this.
But like during like end of COVID-ish, or I don't know. I know we're still.
They had their first official birthday like in January. So they opened January 2022. But in 2020, they like kind of bet in their favor and started building this restaurant like from nothing, like from a decrepit garage. And so they really worked hard in building something up. And so anyway, they just celebrated their first birthday. But when I think of any business that had to pivot and any business that suffered from like things outside of their control, I really do think of like Elena, Nora Gray, and Gia specifically, because I was so involved and so invested in that business. And anyway, watching them pivot and thrive and were able to come out on top fills my heart with so much gratitude. And I see behind the scenes like how much work goes into it, and like how many like Excel sheets and how many phone calls and how many meetings, and constantly being flexible and understanding and patient.
And kind of like that you said before, like not planning too far ahead almost. Like you kind of have to. And then at the same time, everything can be tossed up in the air in one single day and you have to change everything.
Yeah. And anyway, my heart breaks for everyone who suffered, all the restaurants that did suffer through that time. But then I look at my personal life and my personal journey as like, Larry's thriving and he found a way
Yeah.
to make it work. And it's not easy. Like
Yeah.
it might look like a walk in the park to some people, but
Yeah.
heck, I look at him and I'm like, oh.
Oh,
And then I'm grateful that that restaurants did have to pivot and close, because if it didn't, then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to move
mm,
out to the Eastern Townships and get a dog and have a garden and go for long walks. Like, so it's a
yeah.
funny
People feel bad
duality.
talking sometimes about the good that came from COVID. I know, but there is so much of it too. So
Yeah.
like my business as well, like it went virtual and that opened so many doors for me. And I know a lot of other entrepreneurs that that's the case too. So there was just so
Mm-hmm.
many stories that came out of it, but lots of lessons learned
I
during
do
that
miss
time.
working in the restaurant industry.
Well,
Let the
well,
record state that
well, are you applying for a job right now then? Is that you want to date
the
or moonlight at the marina from time to time this summer?
heck yeah, I do.
You heard it
I'm
here, folks.
I'm in it for the margaritas. Let it be
Yeah,
said.
perfect. You can get paid in that. Well, Ashley, I mean, we came on here to talk about fundraising. We came to talk about
We did.
cancer. And then I just also wanted to talk to you because I think you're a precious human being. And I think your mom sent you to me. So thank you to your mom.
Mm, yeah, well, man, now you got me tearing up. We didn't tear up when we spoke about fundraising, but now's a great time.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I say this and I've said this to my friends who know the struggle that I went through moving to a new town where my house is. I have no neighbors, like feeling really isolated and trying to start something new with no community built. Definitely meeting you was the highlight of my year last year, and working on this fun project. We're only in the month of March,
Hmm.
but working on this fun project with you is a massive highlight as well. So I think that if there are external forces from people that are past and no longer with us, I tip my hat to them, because
Yeah.
definitely guiding me in the right direction.
And why not see it that way, right? Like I think anyways. Because then life is super magical. So people will be able to find out more information, like stay tuned, either through my Instagram. Ashley's posting on her Instagram too. I'll share that in the show notes. And yeah, just keep those dates in mind if you can join for any of those events. And then if you want to give any sort of monetary donations, again, between the dates, it has to happen between the dates of March 23rd and June 1st. And I forgot to mention, we're doing a live crystal sale selling bloodstone crystals, which I'm so excited on. That one is on May 30th on a Thursday. That one's virtual too. So that's
Oh,
a Thursday, I believe, right? So
it
yeah,
is,
so
yes.
anyone can tune in from far and wide. Go follow the Loom. Again, I'll share that as well in the show notes. And then Ashley, can people reach out to you if they're looking? Like she's done such beautiful work for me, and she also creates these beautiful drawings of Drew. I know you had like a whole series. You don't maybe do that so much right now, but this character that you drew, I love. I have two pieces right now. I have falling to pieces there, and I have time to cultivate over there. So yeah, if there's any way that, people can work with you, are you open to it?
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. People can reach out to me at any time. On Instagram, they can find me at Ashley Olive. And everything you would need to know about me is there, and how to get in touch. But yeah, well, and especially working on fun projects like this. How can one say no?
On a fundraiser.
On a
Silent D.
fundraiser. I'm gonna get that together, get the visuals that put together for that
For that, perfect.
right away.
Okay.
Right away.
So much to do on this Saturday afternoon. I
Thanks for
just
having me on your
appreciate you. Oh
podcast.
my gosh. As an avid listener too, you are, right?
I am, and I was sad Marley didn't make a bark. He didn't
Oh,
make an
shoot.
appearance. Ah, shoot.
Oh, shoot. All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and be in touch with either of us or any of us for anything that you want. I just love hearing from people too when they're like, I really like that episode, or I want more of this, or more projectors, please, or, anything, just reach out. And thank you, Ashley, for your time in this and everything in life. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Maybe at the boot later, but probably not. Okay, bye everyone.